And that's two great firsts. Now, the Arab slave trader brought his African merchandise to a broker in a large town who put them up for sale in the slave market. Now, among the many brokers that were there in the Arab world, there were some brokers who don't like to be remembered now in the United States of America. These were the Jewish brokers who were in all the great towns such as Damascus and Baghdad. Yes. Yes, sir. What a lot of trouble Professor Jeffries got into. And all he talked about was the old Jew over there in Newport, Rhode Island. But what about the Jews of Amsterdam? The Jews of Lisbon? The Jews of Cadiz? The Jews of Toulouse and Marseille? The Jews of Bristol, the great slave port of England, Bristol. Because that's where the great voyages were planned. Who had the money to put those ships on the sea to send them out for 3 months and to take that route over to Africa and back again? Who had the money to finance these huge caravans to go and fetch slaves across? Who were the great merchants of the Middle East? Who were the great merchants of Europe? Answer me, brothers and sisters, who were they? Jews! So how the hell they weren't in the slave trade? They never cared about how they turned an honest dollar. And we have... Well, from their point of view, it's an honest dollar, although they are lamenting the fact now and denying it. Now, slaves, after you bought their slaves from the broker, they were used in domestic service as servants. And here's what the Arabs did that not even the deadly Europeans did to us, except when they were real mad. They made us eunuchs. Eunuchs. I heard somebody say what? A eunuch means that they castrated the African black man. And these were there to guard the harems of the wealthy and the powerful. And we were also used as soldiers to fight for the Arabs. Don't look so strange. You were used as soldiers right here in the United States of America by a man called Honest Abe Lincoln. And he used you when he needed you. Fight. But we have always fought for other people. Fought to build other empires. Now, more limited use was made of African slaves in agriculture, mining, and industry than was used in the Western slave trade. And this is how the Eastern slave trade differed. The principal areas that supplied slaves for the Eastern trade, and these varied in importance over the approximately 1,250 years of the trade. Because I am saying here 1,250 years, and I want you to understand that effectively from about 1900, the African trade, the Arab slave trade went down, would decline because of the anti-slave conventions of the time. But Arabs never stopped trading in African slaves. As a matter of fact, the last legalized legalized abolition of slavery, and I remember I'm saying legalized because I'm using the word advisedly, was in Mauritania, and this was in 1980, as late as 1980. So up to 1980, it was legal by the laws of Mauritania for Arabs to have Africans as slaves. Now, I am credibly informed, and my visit to Africa, as there last year in Egypt, that slavery is still being carried on, where young blacks who go on the Hajj never return from the Hajj. They are enslaved in Saudi Arabia and transported to other parts of the Arab world still as slaves. So the Arab will not give up his fiendish ways, his love of Africans' flesh for his own purposes. Now, the regions from where the slaves came from were the coastlands of, remember now I'm talking about the Arab slave trade, were the coastlands of Kenya and Tanzania. Kenya and Tanzania, look where they